Have you ever caught yourself thinking that, after a certain age, society simply expects us to turn off such a beautiful part of our lives, as if it were a switch? You know, as if intimacy, touch, deep affection, or even the desire to feel desired simply cease to exist after 60, 70 or so? It's as if, suddenly, we stop being someone who loves, who feels, who wants to get close, to be moved by a long kiss, or by a hand that holds yours firmly and carefully. But let me tell you something heart to heart. This is not true. This conversation is exactly for that, for us to talk about a subject that has been left aside for a long time, sometimes out of shame, sometimes out of prejudice, other times out of pure silence. But it lives there, deep inside us, beating like the heart of a boy or girl. Sex and intimacy in maturity. And no, I'm not talking about vulgar things or exaggeration. I'm talking about love, skin, desire, the desire to be together. I'm talking about that wonderful warmth of a tight hug, the lightness of a silent exchange of glances, an unhurried caress, a kiss that seems to say, I see you, I feel you, you still enchant me. Maybe you're living this now, maybe you're missing it, or maybe you're wondering if it still makes sense to think about all this when you're 60, 70, or 80. And my answer is simple. It does, yes, a lot. That's why today I want to talk to you about 3 taboos that need to fall now when the subject is sex and intimacy after 60. We need to make room for this conversation without shame, without guilt, without that dirty look that many people still insist on carrying. Because as we remain silent, we will fade away, and that's not why we got here. You know that throughout life we learn so many things, right? We learn how to get by, how to work, how to raise children, how to face losses, how to start over. And even so, with all this baggage, with all this wisdom, we still carry some unnecessary weight when it comes to love, body, and pleasure. The first of these taboos is precisely the cruelest of all, the idea that after a certain age, sexuality simply dies. And I ask, who invented this? Because the body changes, yes. The energy is no longer the same as when we were 20, that's true. But do you know what else changes? The way we feel, the depth of emotions, the lightness of touch, the delicacy of intimacy that no longer needs to prove anything to anyone. It's as if, over time, we stop chasing the rush and start savoring the moment. There are many people out there who are surprised to discover that at 65 or 70 years old, they have once again felt pleasure with an intensity they never even knew existed. And there is nothing unusual about that. Quite the opposite. This is healthy, this is beautiful, this is part of life. But the silence that society imposes on this hurts. It hurts because it makes people feel wrong for feeling desire. It makes many people keep quiet, stop talking to their partners, stop seeking help when something isn't working well. And then blockages, fears, and frustration hidden behind smiles arise. But let me tell you, there is no age to feel the desire to be close, to be touched with affection, to give yourself in a hug that says everything without needing to speak. And this intimacy is not just physical. It is made of trust, of presence, of a touch that speaks more than 1,000 words. Sex in maturity is not just about the body. It is about affection, it is about presence, it is about listening. Sometimes it's just being there, side by side, sharing the same silence with someone who looks at you with truth. Other times, it's allowing yourself to experience a new passion, a new skin, a new desire, and that's okay. Now, there is another taboo that needs to go as well. It is that idea that anyone who is over 60 should no longer look for a new love because they are past that stage or they have more to do. Look, I've seen 80-year-olds fall in love like teenagers. I've seen people who've been widows for decades discover a beautiful connection with someone they met on a walk, in a book group, in a dance class, or even on the internet. and the sparkle in their eyes was the same as that of someone falling in love for the first time. Age is not a prison. It is, in fact, a freedom. The freedom to love with more maturity, to know what you want and what you no longer accept, to look into the eyes of the other and say, "I like you just the way you are, without games, without masks, without rushing." Unfortunately, however, there are many people who still believe that loving after a certain age is ridiculous or inappropriate, as if love had an expiration date. But love, my friend, it has no expiration date. What is often short-lived is our courage to allow ourselves to live again. And that's what I want you to take away from here today. The certainty that it's not too late. It's not too late to fall in love. It's not too late to rediscover touch, to laugh with someone at the end of the afternoon, to hold someone's hand affectionately, to hear your heart race with a message on your cell phone or with a coffee for two. We don't need to live as if our time is already up, because it's not over, and there's more we need to talk about. And speaking about this love that has no time limit, that story of Donna Irene and Mr. Walter comes to mind, a couple I met in a meditation group that meets every Wednesday morning. She was 74, he was 78. Each had already lived their marriages, raised children, faced illnesses, and gone through heavy mourning. And yet, there they were, laughing softly, exchanging shy glances, and, from time to time, brushing hands as if they were still discovering that feeling of butterflies in the stomach that we swear we only feel when we are young. But do you want to know what was most beautiful? It was seeing how they touched each other with respect, calmly, as if each gesture had immense value. And that, for me, is the greatest definition of intimacy: respect and presence. Now, listen to me carefully. Intimacy does not depend on a young body. It depends on connection, real connection, the desire to be together, and that has no age. The problem is that for a long time, we were taught that as we get older, our bodies become inadequate, that they are no longer useful for certain things, that desire should be locked in a box and hidden away in the back of the closet. This is the third taboo that we need to break once and for all: the shame of one's own body. How many times have you looked in the mirror and thought, "Ugh, I don't look like I used to"? How many times have you compared yourself to images in magazines, to younger people, as if your body had to follow a standard that never took your history into account? But look, your body, it's home, it's history, it's survival. It is the result of everything you have lived, everything you have overcome, everything you have loved. Does it have marks? Yes, it does. And each one of them tells something. Scars, wrinkles, different curves, all of this is living memory. And no one needs to apologize for getting older. Quite the opposite. There is a powerful beauty in a body lived with dignity, a beauty that is not in the stretched skin, but in the brightness of the eyes, in the firmness of the presence, in the serenity of those who have learned to value what really matters. Body shame makes many people avoid giving themselves away again, even when they find a new love. There's that fear. What if he thinks I'm ugly? What if she notices my belly? What if I can't handle it? But what hurts is not the body itself. It's the weight of the judgment that we've learned to carry. And this can be released. True intimacy begins when we allow ourselves to be seen exactly as we are, without masks, without filters, without having to pretend to be young to deserve affection.
Do you know what really attracts? Security, lightness, trust, a sincere hug, a conversation that never ends, a kiss that comes after a good silence. That's more attractive than any toned body advertised. In fact, there is something very beautiful about rediscovering your own body with more kindness, about exploring it again, calmly, with curiosity. about learning that pleasure also matures, that it transforms, and that haste is no longer the enemy of perfection, because perfection doesn't matter. What matters is being present. Often, the touch that sparks the most is not the one full of force, but the one that comes with tenderness. A caress of the hair, a kiss on the shoulder, a hand that rests on the back as if to say, "I'm here." And look, I know not everyone has a partner right now, and that's okay too. Intimacy is not just about being with someone, it's also about being with you. It's allowing yourself to take care of your body, not because you need to please anyone, but because it's yours. It's cultivating pleasure in your routine, in the shower, in the clothes you choose to wear, in the food you taste, in the music that makes you dance alone around the room. There are people who only discover their own intimacy after they turn 60, and how lucky are those who allow themselves to do so? We spend so much time taking care of others, solving everyone's lives, leaving our own desires for later, that we often forget that the right to feel pleasure is also ours, and it doesn't disappear with age. In fact, it can even become more beautiful, more intense, more conscious. But to do that, we need to get rid of the idea that this isn't something for old people, because it is. It's something for people who are still alive, for people who still dream, who still get emotional, who still want to live life to the fullest. You know that wonderful feeling of walking hand in hand? That confidence that comes when someone looks at you with desire and respect at the same time. That peace that appears when you feel accepted just the way you are. All of this is still possible, and all of it is worth it. Therefore, my invitation today is for you to, little by little, free yourself from these ideas that have held you back for so long. He'll look at you with more tenderness. Allow yourself to feel again, love again, desire again. Because when we authorize ourselves, the body responds, the soul responds, and life smiles back at us. And there's one more thing I want to talk to you about. You know, there comes a time in life when we stop running so much after the approval of others, and we start looking for something more valuable, the peace of being who you are, with everything that that brings. And it is at this point that intimacy takes on a new meaning. It ceases to be a requirement, a performance, an obligation, and becomes a meeting space, a place where we can rest, express ourselves, and be loved not despite our scars, but because of them. After 60, love changes shape. It becomes more sincere, calmer, but also deeper. It's like a bonfire. It doesn't make noise, but it warms. And that heat, that heat is what makes us keep believing. But for this love to blossom again, or continue to blossom, we need to take care of the soil where it grows. And this soil is made of freedom, respect, and listening. How many times have you swallowed a feeling so as not to bother someone? How many times have you stopped yourself from saying what you felt for fear of seeming needy or silly or too old for this? But you know, no one is too old to want a long touch, to want a kiss before going to sleep, to want to feel your heart race for someone. These things are not exclusive to young people. They are part of human nature, and if they remain within you, it is because they make sense, yes, and they deserve to be experienced.
And here, I would like to make an important point. If you are in a relationship where affection has disappeared, where desire has been left aside, where beautiful words have disappeared, don't accept this as fate. Sometimes all that's needed is a sincere conversation, a moment of mutual listening, without demands, without accusations, just two people willing to meet again gently. Because yes, it is possible to rekindle what seemed extinguished, and that starts with a choice to look again. And if you're alone right now, maybe wondering if you'll ever experience something like this again, I want you to know that life is full of new beginnings. Love can come again, and sometimes it comes in unexpected ways, through an old friendship that changes, through a meeting in a simple place, through an online conversation that grows over time. Love has no formula. It just needs space. And to create this space, we need to free ourselves from the ideas that keep us small. Remember the taboos we talked about? The one who says that after 60, your sex life ends. The one who says that love is only for those with a young body. And the one that makes us ashamed of what we feel, of what we want, of who we are. These taboos don't protect anyone. They hurt. They isolate. They make thousands of people live in silence, believing that feeling is wrong. But it isn't. Feeling is what keeps us alive. And every time you allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to talk, allow yourself to take care of yourself with love, you are saying to the world, I'm still here, and I still want to truly live. Because truly living isn't just about waking up, eating, paying bills, and waiting for the day to pass. To truly live is to be moved by a song that reminds you of someone special. It is to allow yourself to dream of a hug that has not yet come. It is to look in the mirror and smile with pride at the story that time has drawn on your skin. It's looking forward with hope and to the side with a desire to share. Have you ever wondered what it would be like if everyone your age stopped hiding out of shame? If everyone said, yes, I still have desires. I still want to love. I still want to feel pleasure. It would be a quiet revolution, but a powerful one. An entire generation saying, we are not dead. We are more alive than ever, only now with more wisdom. That's the beauty of aging with courage. You can turn shame into freedom, silence into conversation, and solitude into encounter. And most importantly, you can be inspiration. Inspiration for other men and women who are also feeling it, but still don't have the courage to talk about it, who still think that all of this is nonsense, who grew up hearing that loving after 60 is nonsense. It's not nonsense. It's necessity. It's health. It's life pulsating. So, if something inside you was awakened in this conversation, if some part of your heart remembered something that seemed forgotten, welcome it with affection, with patience, with hope. You deserve to feel loved. You deserve to feel desired. You deserve to experience the fullness of your intimacy, whether with someone else or with yourself. And if this video spoke to you, I invite you to leave a comment below. Tell your story, share your doubts, your fears, your joys. This space is yours, and here no one will judge you. On the contrary, here we listen with respect. If you want, send this video to someone you love, to that friend who thinks her time has passed, or to that man who lives in silence but has eyes full of longing. Let's break these taboos together, one by one. Because life after 60 is not the end of the road. It is a new path full of possibilities, and love, intimacy, pleasure are part of this path. You deserve all of this, and it's time to live without fear.